I don't know why.
All right, guys. Hi, everybody. It is Friday night. Artist on Lockdown, another edition. We've been having so much fun. My name is Ron Onesti from the Arcada Theater in St. Charles, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. On the show, my co-host, my good buddy, a mentor, a hero, of course, Carmine Appice, which, you know, this guy from Vanilla Fudge and so many other projects. We're going to talk to him a little bit about his projects. We're waiting for his little brother, Vinny Appice, to show up on this edition, on this segment as well, because it's going to take three guys to actually properly interview the gentleman we have as a special guest tonight. I tell you what, I love this guy. I mean, watching him is truly incredible. We're so lucky at the Arcada that he's played there several times. Okay, so this is how you introduce him. He's number 9. I'm going to give this to you, man, Derek. So number 9, named greatest keyboardist ever, okay, by Prog Magazine. He's Keyboard Magazine's keyboard hero for a new generation, Guitar World's king of keys. Our good buddy Alice Cooper refers to him as the Caligula of keyboards. I could do this for an hour, but I think I'm just going to bring him on. Our good friend Derek Sherinian. Hey, man.
What's up, Ron, Carmine? Thank you guys for having me on.
Wow.
Appreciate it, guys.
I didn't know all that, Ron. That's pretty wild. Derek, what happened when I started?
I don't know. I just kind of took the ball and ran with it.
You know, I don't know if
anybody, long time.
I don't know if anybody knows this, but it was probably what, 1999 or earlier?
No, it was much
87,
earlier.
87.
It was 88 because it was right before I did Alice Cooper.
Right.
And 89, or maybe like right afterwards, so maybe 90, something like that.
He played on a Vanilla Fudge live Rhino album, and he didn't know how to play a B3. And I was showing him how to use the draw boss. I showed him how to play You Keep Me Hanging On, the intro. And then that was the first time I met you. I don't even know how I met you. How did I meet you?
No, it was through the Brad Gillis record is when we met. Because that was the very first record I did. And then you flew drums. And then that was the first time. And I remember that was like a very exciting time for me playing with obviously you and Brad were both big heroes, and I was very green and new at the time, and so that was awesome. And then so we exchanged numbers, and then you called me for the Vanilla Fudge thing, and it was great playing the B3. You were working the drawbars and the pedal, and I was just playing the keys, and it was really good teamwork, Carmine.
Yeah,
very good.
And I'm sitting. How lucky am I to be sitting here and these names, you know, Gillis, Vanilla Fudge, just throwing all these great names you guys are throwing like it was like yesterday's news. No big deal to you guys. Yeah. It's so cool to be a fan in your little world here.
Well, it was a lot of fun with Derek because then I watched him develop over the years, and then he played with Alice Cooper, and I thought, wow, that's cool, you know?
Oh, man, I'll tell you, I mean, I've been so blessed to work with so many great musicians, but I've been truly blessed to play with some of the original American legend drummers such as Buddy Miles and Carmine as well. And Carmine, I've told you this before, but I'll say it to the world. I consider you one of the last of the Mohicans, and really a true American treasure. And it's an honor to have played with you and recorded with you stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, 100%.
Native American drummer, actually, in a Mohican. Hey, Derek, you know, I mean, we start this kind of, you know, we are what we are, right? On lockdown. I see. I made a little comment earlier. It looks like you're sitting in the lobby of a guitar, you know, one of those stores, you know. But all that stuff happening at home. I mean, what are you doing on this lockdown situation? Are you writing some stuff? What are you working on now?
Frankly, it's like I don't go out much at all. I pretty much, when I'm not on tour, I'm in my studio writing, making records, or doing sessions. So it's pretty much been business as usual. I was out with Sons of Apollo. We just put out a new record 2020, and we played your room, which was a fantastic gig, and the band was really building momentum. And according to our numbers, we were up like 30-40% from the previous year with this record. We really felt like you could really see a big difference in the crowd. We went to Europe, played 4 shows, and we got the message that the Milan show, a week from where we were, was in jeopardy of being canceled, and there was some murmurings of other shows. And it was really scary being out there when you have your business out there, your band, your crew, all your gear, and every cancellation is like a 15 grand harpoon thrown at your vessel, that there's this gaping hole that you can't make up. And so every harpoon that comes in, man, it's brutal. So we had to make a decision before the pandemic was declared. Do we gut it out and stay out here and have more shows cancel and get killed, or do we lick our wounds, take a little loss right now and cancel? And so we were one of the first bands to pull the plug on the tour, and we came home and announced it. And there was like a lot of promoters. There was a few promoters that were like, what the fuck, before Jour called, you can't do this. But then like a day later, all these bands announced. Yep. Everyone was just like waiting for the first band to have the balls to declare it. And so we were one of the first, but then everyone else chimed in, and then very shortly after, 3-4 days later, it was done. Everything was done.
We got lucky. We got lucky, man. We had your show, and you know what? Watching, Sons of Apollo hasn't been around for 40 years or nothing, right? It's only been around 3-4 years, really. Yeah. And watching the development of this band. First of all, the band itself, another supergroup, which I love the concept of the supergroups. More and more and more it's happening, and more. You're part of so many of them. Oh, it's. I
got to say this though. Every time you use the word supergroup in that anything I'm involved with, my friend Eric Singer's butthole puckers. So I keep saying it. I love it.
Well, it's true. I mean, you start looking at the word supergroup, you look them up, and your name is in 3 or 4 of them. So Black County Communion. I mean, I want to talk about that. But being with the Sons of Apollo, again, watching development. I mean, another guy, behind the skins, Mike Portnoy. Was he in 10, 12 bands, whatever he is, and every one of them practically outside of Dream Theater is played by us. But you're talking Billy Sheehan, Bumblefoot, Ronnie Thal. I mean, these are nice people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Billy Sheehan, great people. And watching your band develop, and I'm saying from the promoter standpoint, the level of excitement, the cult following, the tickets, it's been really cool to watch your growth. And this was going to be your year. It still could be, but this was definitely going to be this band's year for sure.
Well, as frustrating and disappointing as it was for all of us, the good thing to take away was there was obvious momentum, and that's a positive. And we're confident that once everything gets close to normal, or at least enough where we can go out and play, that we can continue that momentum. And we all really believe in the band and in each other. And we realize we're all 50 years old, and we've all been through so many different things, and everyone is capable of doing solo records and making their own, producing their own records and calling their own shots. But we realize that if we're going to really get over that hump, and I call the hump when you can play any city in the world and pull in 1,000 people paying for tickets. If you can get to that hump, then you're making a living and you build off of that. And so I feel that even though with the pedigree, the octopus pedigree, as Eric Singer likes to call it, of Sons of Apollo, it's still a 2 or 3 album and tour cycle process before you get over that hump.
But if you're not there, if you're not there, you're real close.
We're not there, and it's another album or maybe 2 away, but we know that that's the only way we're going to get to that point. We don't, at 50 years old, want to go get sideman gigs and have to laugh at someone's jokes and play other people's songs. It's like, fuck that. I'm done with that. Unless I'm getting paid, a lot of money.
Well, one of the things I love as far as a description of you that's out there, and to be a keyboard player in these bands, obviously, and to maintain the level of professionalism or professional respect that you get is really something. But we all know progressive rock, I mean, a foundation of progressive rock is all the keyboards. So when you can be at the level that you are in prog rock, that just says so much to your professionalism and your talent. But you know what I love when they describe you? It's about your guitar style of playing. And one of your influences, Jeff Beck, right?
Yeah, very much. Jeff Beck,
So,
Jan Hammer, both of them. And Jan
so we
Hammer,
got Carmine has got obviously his connection with Jeff Beck. And this is that several degree of separation going on. But Carmine, what can you say about Jeff Beck's style that speaks to a little bit of what Derek is all about?
Well, Jeff is a unique, different kind of guitar player. As a matter of fact, I'm in Florida here with my Kodiak kids. These are two brothers, drums and guitar. They play like Van Halen stuff, And I was playing them Beck Bogan Appice live at the London Rainbow in 1974, which we're going to release shortly. And we're saying, as a guitar player, I was talking to him. What about Jeff? He said he's so different. He plays such weird stuff. There's Vin. And
right there?
Yeah, okay. He's there. So he's very, very, very different than any players. He's very into sounds and harmonics and just weird notes, weird rhythms. He's not like everybody else. That's why he's made his living as Jeff Beck and the big legend has become, because that's what he does.
So we've just been joined by your little brother, but a huge guy in rock and roll. Another, just a great drummer. Another one of my favorites. Number 2 to Carmine Appice is Vinny Appice, Black Sabbath, Dio, and all the other bands. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Sorry, I got delayed.
How come we don't see Vinny?
I don't know. I see half of you.
Okay, well,
it's our better half.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your better half. Right?
I got to tell you something. Beck Bogan Appice live at the Rainbow. So I did a solo, and Beck says, Carmine Appice on drums. How about that?
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, very few of us get that thing straight.
That's amazing, Carmine, that you played with Jeff Beck. That's like the one person on my bucket list that I really need to play with or preferably record. And I've been doing a lot of, over the years, solo records with Simon Phillips, who is an awesome drummer and producer and songwriter and mixer, and he's fantastic. And I keep saying to Simon, Simon was on There and Back with him. I'm like, come on, man, we got to get him in. There's got to be something. I've been trying to reach him for 20 years. He's just an odd bird. He doesn't. Yeah.
When you're in his group, you can call him on.
Yeah. So I'm keeping faith that one day I can make that happen. I pulled some habits out of my hat in my solo record, so never underestimate him. Make it happen.
I know. He's a tough one.
Yeah, I know. That's a unicorn.
You look at the list of people that you play with. I mean, it's just incredible, and I know they feel just as lucky to be playing with you as well. I'm talking about absolutely, and it's a diverse list too. I mean, from Alice to Joe Bonamassa, two very different styles, two very intense guys, and then especially Joe. I mean, do you find it somewhat challenging to follow or play along with a guy as intense as Joe Bonamassa?
Well, I'll say this. It's challenging because I'll say this about playing the blues, as simple as it may be. There's a real, true art form to being a great blues player. And I'll say that not just in Black Country Communion, but that's more rock. But the year and a half that I played in Joe's solo band, I really learned a lot in that period, just playing with him. He's so amazing at it. And there was so much more to learn, you know, on it. It gets really, really deep. Joe knows all the different branches of the blues, all the different Delta blues to all the different styles, and he just really, it's amazing.
He's a great player.
He does.
We played with him in at the NAM show.
Oh, yeah.
The Bogart and Appice.
Jeez.
It's on YouTube. So, because we were going to do a BBA tour with Bonamassa, right?
Yeah.
And we were going to do some of the stuff that we didn't ever release on the second album, a BBA, plus some BBA songs, plus some Bonamassa songs. And those are the days when he was playing BB Kings, like 500 seat places.
Yeah. No, it's really amazing what he and Roy Weissman have built together.
And Roy said we had some gigs booked. There were fairly good sized gigs at the time, like 25 grand a night, you know. And Roy said, no, Joe can't do it. It doesn't fit in with our plan. So we're going, what kind of plan has this guy got, you know?
I'll tell you what kind of plan. They got a year and a half plan booked in advance, rooms, because they're competing with like Broadway shows, and they want the rooms, and they know what Joe's doing that far in advance. And God bless him.
But before they did that, I mean, they're playing BB King's kind of places, you know?
No, I know.
And 2 years later, he's playing 2 nights at the Beacon.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, it's like
he had a big rise, quick rise.
How do you do that? You know?
I'll tell you, it's a combination of things, but it's a lot of it is brilliant strategic planning. And besides Joe's talent, you got to give Roy Weissman major credit for quarterbacking that thing, 100%. And he's not someone that really gives a shit about getting the acknowledgement, but to not give him credit would be not right.
It was all him. It was definitely, I mean, the talent is Joe, but the marketing and that whole plan.
He was smart. He knows how to target the demographic and maximize and feed them their meat.
Really amazing.
God bless him.
Vinny, let me ask you a question. What has been your connection? You know, I mean, this business is turning so incestuous as every year goes by. The 2 degrees, the Kevin Bacon thing, you know, of separation. Everybody's playing with who, what, where. So Vinny, Black Sabbath, Zakk Wylde, Derek Sherinian, Zakk Wylde. I mean, how are you connected with Derek?
I think we played on something together recently.
We played on 2 Joel Hoekstra records. One of them released, and then there's one that's coming out, I think, later this year, which you sound great on. It's always nice playing to your tracks, Vinny. It's cool. How come Vinny's like in a very little small circle? And
because that's what he deserves. That's what
I want Vinny to get a little more real estate. This is not right.
I got a new camera, and I didn't even see me. So
you're like in a little porthole that they put the bands in on a cruise ship.
You're in
the opening bands. You get a little porthole.
Mine, you're in between Derek and me. I'm in a little square next to you, Vinny. So don't feel bad.
I see you guys. You guys
I'm
all.
Square.
Your circle's covering Ron's face. I just moved you. All right, this is good. Here, wait. Let me put me here. Here we go. Now I got this one. You can actually move with your finger and manipulate the screen.
Oh, yeah.
So now
I got Vinny now.
Now we're good.
I still won't see me.
Oh, yeah, I got Vinny now. But Vinny's sideways now.
It's okay.
Yeah,
it's like a mugshot.
Yeah.
I don't have
Derek, as I mentioned before earlier, it looks like you're in a Guitar Center store in your studio there with all those different keyboards. So you got a C3, you got a B3, you got all that stuff happening. What is your favorite one to play from a creative standpoint?
It depends on the song. You know, I'm at a point where I'm just doing so many sessions. I'll hear a song and then the parts just fucking come right to me. It's like obvious the B3 goes here, the Mellotron goes here, Whirly here. I mean, it's like Carmine knows. It just comes to you. You know what to do.
Yeah.
It's just
boom.
If there was something that, well, let me ask you, when you open or when you're warming up, you know, what songs, and this is something I've asked people, and it's very interesting to me. You walk onto a stage, there may or may not be an audience there, maybe it's sound check. What is the song that you just start warming up to?
Nothing in particular. I just make sure that the gear's working. I don't really blow my load during sound check too much. But I warm up backstage probably for like an hour just to get all the curd out of my hands and all toxins or whatever, and oil up, and that's it.
Have they spoken to you? Have your organization, with this lockdown stuff, any word about what they think, like with Suns, what's going to happen with Suns? Are they coming out? Is there going to be a 2020 for Suns, you think?
Well, the only thing we have on the books is South America, which we had to reschedule a second time for October, but I don't think that's going to happen.
When are you scheduled for
October?
I'm scheduled for November.
Yeah, it's not looking good. I don't think it's going to happen. But we have a month's worth of European dates for March 2021, and in talks for some Euro festivals. Let's keep our fingers crossed. But at least the dates are on hold. As they have to be.
All our dates moved from Vanilla Fudge and Cactus to July, and then now they're saying October.
Yeah.
And then same Cactus, we were trying September, October, and we were going to play Ron's Room, and I don't know if that's going to happen.
Well, Ron, from your perspective, this is great talking to you. What do you see happening? You have this venue that you can't open. So what does that look like?
Well, we got a couple venues actually, Derek, and it's definitely challenging. Because especially us in Illinois, where somehow our governor is not to get political, but he's a lot. Let's just say he's being a lot more cautious than most states. And right now, if we abide by what's being said, we won't open until October, November. However, I'm out there. I'm looking around, driving around, talking to other venues, and I really think that this whole thing is really going to crumble. I hate to say that there's an upside to the rioters and the looters, or the protests, I should just say it, and not about the looters. That's a separate thing. But the slight, I think, upside to this thing, if we're looking for a silver lining, is the fact that's taken the intensity off of the COVID
The virus,
thing.
yeah.
I did a post on Facebook earlier this week that got, I don't even know how many million likes, but it was, I put on there, I said, remember the good old days when all we had to worry about was a pandemic?
Right.
And so, and that's kind of what I feel. I think the whole thing by 4th of July really is going to crumble. I think people are going to say, screw it, take this mask, get rid of this. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I need my music. I need my sunshine, and I need my family and friends. And I think that's what's going to happen. So I believe that
we went to.
You're right. I hope you're right.
We went to Delray Beach today. We went to Delray Beach today. Walked around this place in Delray called Atlantic Avenue, which has clubs and restaurants. Everybody's sitting in the restaurants and out of the restaurants with no masks. The waitresses had masks on. And we were walking around, and when we saw people, we put a mask on. When we passed them, we took the mask off. It was beautiful. It was great to see people actually going out doing stuff. You know what else? Talking about taking the attention off the virus. What about the election? Both of these things have taken totally off the election. Before this happened, that's all you'd hear about. This one and that one, and who hates this one, and that one hates that one, and and this one ain't doing it right. You don't hear anything now.
No, I know.
It's going to be interesting.
I go back to. Oh, go ahead, Ben.
I killed my hearing from playing for 40 years. So now we go to the store and they come up to me with the mask on and I go, and I go, what are you talking about? And they go, a long time ago we played with Heaven and Hell down in Colombia, Bogota, and so there was a line to go through the immigration and customs. So I get up to the window, and that was when the swine flu was happening. And it's plexiglass, and she got a mask on. So she looks at me and goes, what? So I had to get somebody, dude, come over here. I can't hear a word she's saying, But here, at least, I tell them, take the mask off. I can't hear you.
And that's what I think is just going to happen. People are just going to get so fed up. And here we are, first week of June. If you're talking about 4th of July, that's another month. And then August, another month. 8 weeks. I just can't imagine that this thing is going to last. And people are just going to, and like I said, being in Illinois, I don't know when they'll let us do it.
Well,
but
look at all the protests going on. There's thousands of people close to each other. Well, you might as well open the clubs, with what's going on. Everybody's right there.
That's what's going to happen the next 2 weeks, I think. I think with all the protests in 2 weeks, if the spike isn't like major, then it's going to be like, you know what? Let's just open up the floodgates. That's what I think. So I think September will be okay, I think. Yeah. I'm hoping. Believe me, we really are.
Wow. But what a trip, man. We've never seen anything like this. I try to explain to my kids, it's like, kids, I've never seen this. My parents have never seen this. This is like unprecedented.
I never seen it. I've never seen anything like this in my life.
Derek, the way you should explain it to your kids is to put a mask on and go, come here, kid.
You sound like Kenny from South Park.
And then they'll go, okay, Daddy. What did Daddy say?
Hey, Pete. Yeah. Come here, say hi to Vinny.
What's going on here?
I got Pete down here, Vinny.
Pete and his brother Repeat.
Yeah, his brother Repeat and Pete.
Where are you, Vinny? Are you in California? Are you in Florida also?
Yeah, I'm in near Temecula.
Hey. Near where?
Near Temecula.
Oh, nice. I know.
Yeah.
Pachanga.
Vinny, see Pete?
Hey, Pete. Wine Country. How you doing, Pete?
Yeah.
You say, how you doing, Pete?
How's it going, man?
What's with the leopard shirt at 7 o'clock on a Friday night?
Hey, we went to the beach today and we saw a chick had a leopard skin bathing suit. So, he was like looking good on the beach area.
There you go.
Pete plays with the band Kodiak I'm producing. You should check him out. You like him.
Yeah, cool. I saw you doing that. Nice.
Yeah.
How you doing?
That's Derek.
Oh.
Derek's played keyboard for the Sons of Apollo.
And, cool.
Yeah. He loves you guys.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
I just set up my, the other day, Vinny, you guys appreciate it. I set up my drum room. Vinny's building me a computer to make a studio in there. So I had Pete playing loud. I went next door to see if the neighbor could hear him. So when I got up to the neighbor, he was a black guy. I said, hey, dude, I just moved in next door. Can you hear that? He goes, what? I said, they're drums.
Perfect.
He goes, very little bit. I said, because I'm going to be playing there and all that. He goes, oh, you're a musician? Yeah. I said, nah, fine. I can't hear nothing.
Maybe.
Thank God for technology, though, that we can all have our studios at our house and make records and not spend like $5,000 or $3,000 a day at the record plant or whatever the stupid rate is. Yeah. And we can,
Yeah, it's good.
It's really a cool thing. I've been, since all the touring has been closing down, and I've been doing this pretty much my whole career, doing sessions on the side when I'm not on tour. But now it's like, what the fuck am I going to do? There's no.
Now they're on the front.
And so I've always been hesitant to like put it out there online that I do sessions, because it's like, well, you don't see Jimmy Page or any people saying I'm doing sessions. But you know what? When I see people doing Cameo, singing Happy Birthday for $100 or doing all this shit, it's like, you know what? Fuck that. I'll make way more money just playing on a song, and people are grateful that it's.
That's how I feel about Cameo. I feel like when you.
Hey! I'm doing Cameo.
It's all right. I'm not putting it down, but you've opened up the doors for me, so thank you.
But
if you're gonna go,
that's fine. You know what? The Cameo are mostly your fans. They go, hey man, I saw you at Ron's place and I met you. You were nice, man. Could you say hi to my husband? It's his birthday. I don't sing it.
I don't mind.
They're mostly all fans. It's really
I don't mind doing that. What I don't like doing is that you got to put up on your Facebook, hey, I'm available for Cameo. That to me makes you look like you're begging.
No, you're
not at all.
You put a sign on you and you walk around town.
You know what? And I've heard a lot about this too, because again, another upside. This has really allowed the fans to get closer and access that they never had before. So I really think that this whole thing that's happening with the Zooms and this and that, I think this is going to last. I think this will live on. And people doing Cameo, I think that's really smart from a marketing standpoint, because it connects you to your audience.
They should market. You shouldn't have to market yourself. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
not
I
about
don't
marketing yourself. I don't see it
No,
that way.
I'll say this. I'll just tell you straight up. So I get hired from people all over the world, send me their shit to play on. And it's like every day,
too.
Finland, Lebanon, like it's sick. And
I've got 10 songs I got to do.
I should just be a fucking studio musician.
Stand
And it's
right
like,
there. There's
it
that
almost
drum.
feels illegal because it's like, and these people are sending me shit from all over the world to play on. And it's like, boom. And they're so grateful afterwards. And it's like, fuck, why do I need to go on a tour bus and deal with all this shit at 53 years old?
Plus, it's fun.
Because it is fun, but still, though, it's like it's tempting just to stay and cut tracks.
But you know what? Again, from a marketing standpoint, like what we're doing tonight, you know, the key right now is to staying relevant is customer or fan engagement. And that's what you're doing. You're connecting still. You're staying out there. You're alive. You're well. You're performing. And I think this is just a great medium. I don't look at the cameos like a begging thing. I think it's cool.
It isn't begging it, but it's just a new. The industry is reinventing, and it's good.
Doing it is fine. It's the putting it up on the Facebook.
I don't put it up on Facebook. It's just on a link on the website. Hey, Vinny does cameo. Boom.
So Carmine, are you insinuating that Vinny is kind of being a little commercial with it, or?
No, as long as he don't put it up on Facebook, that's fine. You know, that's fine with me. Like, you know, it always says on the cameo, put it up on your social media. You know, you go, hi, I'm Carmine. I'm doing cameos. Happy birthday. I feel like an idiot. So I don't even bother putting it up.
Well, I mean, to your point, the other day, I don't know if you saw this on social media, Dolly Parton out there. Hey, for whatever the fee is, she'll do a happy birthday, you know. And I thought it was a joke, frankly. The way she did it was a little.
Yeah, but her fee is probably $5,000.
Yeah, and she'll get it too. No, I think it's great. I think you guys, you know, there's so many live streams going on right now, and so many behind the scenes. People love the behind the scenes thing. I mean, like I said, when this whole thing is over and we're able to get together, I still want to do a live stream behind the scenes, backstage with people. Love it. And they have a certain, now with this technology, they have a certain accessibility to a guy like Derek Sherinian that they, oh my gosh, maybe they'll send an email or something to some agent and maybe he'll get it. Now there's a way I can look him right in the freaking eye and say, hey man, do me a favor, will you play your C3 for me? You know?
No, it's cool, but that's cool, but then a lot of the mystique that is gone from when I was a kid. The only time I'd ever see Van Halen is on the back of the art on the album cover or in Cream or Hit Creator, or I had to wait until they came and played the thing, and everything else in between was kind of like a mystery, and it built up the mystique. Now there's fucking zero mystique.
Zero.
That was gone already with the internet.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is
really.
gone. There's no album covers.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, now there's no heroes anymore. There's no new drum heroes, new guitar heroes, because there's no credits.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who's playing anything.
It's really
Hey, speaking
sad.
of heroes, Derek. So, you know, who is somebody that you haven't played with? Now, we talked about Jeff Beck earlier, of course, bucket list. But who is somebody from a keyboard standpoint that you'd love to stand next to?
I'd really love to meet Jan Hammer in person. We've corresponded a couple times on email, but I think he's like, if you were to say that there's a Jimi Hendrix of synth playing, I have to give it to Jan Hammer.
Oh, yeah, dude.
I will Carmine with that.
Mahavishnu Orchestra, bro.
Yeah, he was the first one to really come out and play that instrument with balls and nuance like a guitar player. He was plugging through amps. And what really made Jan Hammer, I mean, one of the things besides his amazing groove, but his solo style on that mini Moog, you couldn't program the intervals of the pitch bend back then. So you had to hit it with your ear and fucking nail it. Where now, guys, it's all just programmed. Everyone just usually has it to a whole step or a whole step down or a.
I mean, think about Keith Emerson when he was plugging all that shit in with those giant.
I don't know that he was really doing much though. I think a lot of that was shim sham.
It looked like those old operators connecting the lines and the telephone lines.
Yeah.
I saw that keyboard at Electric Lady back in the day. You know, the whole setup. The guy Bob Margolette, I think it was, who set that up.
One of my highlights of my career was with Dream Theater. We were opening for Deep Purple and ELP. So we're backstage. They're setting up all the risers. So my risers was set up in the middle. Then on one side is John Lord's rig, and the other side is Keith Emerson's rig. And I remember at the time, because Eric Singer is my best friend, and he's like my big brother, and I'm always just poking at him, and he always is coming at me. I remember taking a picture, that I called him. I go, Eric, 3 legends, 1 stage. He goes, fuck you, you're not a legend.
I love Eric. I love Eric.
He's the best.
Yeah, he was discovered at my drum off.
He loves you. He loves you.
I used to.
He told me to say hi to both you guys.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Good guy.
Hey Eric.
Yo.
Hey Eric. Hey dude. Yeah, we did the one at the Palace. It was one of the last ones I did, and that's where Lita met him, and
okay.
and saw him play.
Oh, okay.
Put him in the band. That started his career. He's a good guy.
That's been a great gig for him. I first met Eric. I joined Alice Cooper in '89, and the first drummer was Jonathan Mover.
Yes.
And then he left midway through to go back to Satriani, and Eric was just recently out of Badlands, and literally a week later, I think he called Doug Goldstein, who was managing Guns N' Roses at the time, and Doug arranged an audition for Alice, and then Eric got the gig. And I remember all of us had dyed jet black hair. That was the look. But Eric came in with blonde hair, and once he got the gig, I started stirring the shit with him right away. I said to Alice, Alice, I go, you're not gonna make him dye his hair, aren't you? And Eric's looking at me like, you little fuck, because I was just some green side man. I was like this green kid. All of a sudden, I'm in Alice Cooper, and I have the Yankee uniform on. It's like the Emperor's new clothes.
That's like King when everybody joined King Cobra, they had to be blonde.
Yeah, the opposite. It was a polar opposite of Motley Crue.
Yeah.
Everybody in the 80s had to be blonde, I think.
Yeah.
Hey, Derek, tell me a little bit about Black Country. I mean, that's a great band, obviously. Another super group. Yep. Clench. But again, it is a mix. It's an interesting mix of styles between with Jason on the drums and obviously Joe, and then and Glenn. We just talked about Deep Purple. So how did that all come to be? It
started. I think Glenn Hughes was playing a gig at House of Blues LA, and Joe Bonamassa sat in with Glenn, and producer Kevin Shirley saw it and was there with Roy Weissman and says, we need to form a band around these guys, a little side project. So Kevin brought in Jason and me into it, and it was originally going to start where we were going to go in the studio and just record 2 or 3 songs to see if there was a vibe. And we got in and started tracking. Then it turned into a whole week session. We made a whole record out of it. And once it was released, about 6 months later or whatever, it really fucking took off and became really successful, way more than everyone thought it was. And it was to the point where it's well, we got to go play shows now. And so we booked a full, deal, and we were doing. It was great. People love.
Who is the manager? Who's the manager?
Roy. It's Bonamassa. It's just an offshoot of Bonamassa.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I thought. Yeah, that's
so. Then any plans for future touring with that outside of pandemic?
Not touring, but we're going to do another record next year at some point, and then hopefully some dates. The thing is, Joe's solo thing is so kicking, and it's all he doesn't need to split it with anyone. So why should he?
Right.
So that's great, but he likes to play with BCC. He likes the camaraderie of the band, and it's cool that he gets to not be the lead singer only on a few songs, and he gets to rock out with us, and it's a little bit more, you get to see a more edgier side of Joe with BCC that you don't see in his solo stuff. So it's a great band. Eric says, he goes, if you guys were a full-time band and it was serious, you guys would be pulling in 2,000-3,000 seaters in the U.S. and you'd be the biggest classic rock band in America.
Oh yeah, I mean, just with Joe there,
just with Joe alone. I'm not taking credit for it, but just Joe and the whole synergy of all of it.
Yeah, I mean, Joe, I just saw Joe. He played 3 nights at the Beacon, and I went to see him. I said, "We can jam tonight." He goes, "No, I'm not doing any jamming on this session." He said, "The next time." I said, "Okay," because I know he always has. Like Jim McCarty from Cactus, you go up and play with him in this one, that one. But he had, what's his name? The guy from the TV show, the English guy, the drummer. Help me.
Anton?
Anton, thank you. He had Anton. He had had an accident or something, and Anton couldn't play, so he had some other dude playing. Then Anton played one song, and then we went backstage and saw Anton and Joe, and he's still a nice guy. But it's so funny, man. He comes out like backstage and everything. He's wearing his like jumpsuit, his like tracksuit, right? And then I got to get dressed, and he puts on the blues outfit, the bluesy suit on.
Yeah.
But he's
great. He's really remained very humble through all of everything. And
when he was young, I can't remember the year it was, in the 80s sometime, they did a Leo Fender tribute at I think it was a sports arena in Long Beach. They had everybody playing, all the guitar players, and he played as well. That's when I met him. He was like 13 years old or something like that. And he was awesome, and I met him way back then, and then watched him grow. And I remember when we were thinking about doing this BBA thing, we started looking at videos of his playing all around the country in all these clubs, all different size places, 200, 100 people, 200 people, but tons and tons and tons and tons of gigs and tons of videos and tons of videos. And at the time, one of the biggest gigs was Joe Massa at BB King's, and he sold out 500 people, and he was awesome, he was awesome.
He's another guy who watched his growth, He's doing, like you said, 400 or 500, shot to 2,000. Just another guy that we have quite a bit of, Johnny Lang, another guy along those lines that, just you look at these guys playing, much to the three gentlemen I'm looking at right now, because I'm such a fan to watch you guys. And, you all, and I'm going to throw this to you, and I'm going to throw it to Vinny too. When you're playing, it seems like, I don't know what it is. It's like an out of body. You're getting like, do you even know that you're playing? Do you even know that you're there? Because it seems like another thing taking over, and you guys are just letting it rip, especially mid to the end of the show. You're just going crazy. I mean, do you ever feel like it's kind of, you're not even there at the theater?
It's been so long since we played. I don't think I remember.
Yeah, right.
When I close my eyes and I'm playing, I just see black.
It's all the energy and all the energy from the audience, and you just get taken away in it. Anything that's hurting, you got muscle aches or something, it goes away.
Yeah.
Right? You go up. I don't know how I'm going to play. It's hurt, and you go up there, and the
adrenaline kicks in. When we play together, me and Vinny, we're always looking at each other, and we just keep firing each other up. So a lot of times when we play, it's just like the adrenaline keeps going, and as we said before,
we come off stage and go right to the emergency room.
Yeah.
So, Carmine, when you started becoming professional and becoming known, at what point, where were you at, Vinny? Like, so how far, many years behind? And like, were you watching Carmine? Was it cool watching your big brother?
There's 11 years between us. So, he started with the bands in Brooklyn, rehearsing in the house. And I was about 8 years old, maybe. And I would sit down and watch them. And I was like, oh, this is
you were younger. You were younger than that.
Yeah, whatever. I was there.
More like 4 or 5 years old.
Having a full band for my entertainment as a kid. And I'm like, and all the amps and that's the equipment, the wires, all that stuff was cool.
So Carmine, so you were a kid when Carmine was famous then. So you had your big brother was like a famous drummer.
Yeah, he was a big rock star, yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I used to come back to the house in Brooklyn, drive my Pantera into the streets of Brooklyn, park at the Johnny.
That car's a piece of shit, but it looks so cool though.
Yeah, when it was new, it was badass.
Yeah.
And I used to pull up. Right in the front of the hydrant in front of our house, and I get out in full, stage gear. My red velvet jacket, black velvet pants, flowered shirt with a scarf, my hair do up with English haircut. And I walk into the house, and all the kids in there, oh, Carmine! It all comes.
And then when he left later that night, there were no more wheels or hubcaps and shit.
Yeah, right.
Everything.
I picture you driving, especially with that hat, Carm. I picture you driving an Excalibur back then.
Yeah, right. Well, this is my Florida hat. My hair looks like crap.
Hey, Derek, the good thing about that car is you could buy all the parts for it at Pep Boys.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I started getting into cars, so I used to tune the car up for him. I
Yeah.
go by what's the Ford spark plug, Auto Light or
Yeah, the
something.
spot, yeah, the other lights, yeah.
By that, the points, it has points
Yeah.
for a high performance car. It was unbelievable. So I used to
Now forget about it. I have a Maserati. It costs $700 for an oil change.
Yeah.
I saw a great picture of you, Carmine. You posted with you in some badass cars, like in the old. It was like a
Oh yeah,
Rolls Royce
yeah.
or
That was an old Jaguar.
old Jaguar.
Jaguar. I bought that from Gene Cornish at the Rascals.
Wow.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah.
Hey, Ron. You should get some like real showbiz curtains behind you.
You know what? I
Like
have them
sparkle-
like last
That's
time.
right. You know what? No, what's interesting
Not-
is your room is
yeah.
so beautiful, and your club, like that room that we have dinner in, it's all
I
like
know,
so
I
much
know.
detail.
He's
And
got
I
a
know.
chair with a guitar.
Hey,
This was the
on it.
last technology,
What the
guys.
hell,
I had a
man?
whole backdrop. Here,
What the hell?
How do you like my backdrop?
there. Your backdrop's nice. Mine. This
It's a
will
nice
be mine
shirt, though.
tonight.
Your saving grace is the shirt is good.
But Ron's the host. He needs the sparkly Johnny Carson.
I got to
kind of
do that. I do. I will.
like
You know,
showbiz,
technology. So, you know, I asked this question to all the celebrities I talked to. I don't want to bore the brothers with the same question because I asked them, but it's a personal curiosity to me. You've been on the road for a long time. You've been with all these celebrities, legends and icons. You've probably gotten a gift or a piece of memorabilia or a stick or something. What is something that you cherish that if your place, God forbid, was on fire, you would grab it on the way out?
Let us
I don't
tell
know
them-
if it's anything. There's nothing.
Listen, hold on. Vinny got a John Bonham drumstick. I got a letter from Fred Astaire. What's yours?
Beat that.
I don't have anything, a physical thing, but what I've been given was from Buddy Miles, and he used to call me Mortimer. And I don't know why, but it was like, Mortimer. And he would say to me, Mortimer, you got to listen for the train, listen for the groove. Everything goes, every song has a train behind it. Mortimer. And then I remember another time I was feeling like really down or something, and he said to me, he goes, Mortimer, he goes, you're a bad motherfucker. And he goes, don't you ever forget it. And if something, I don't know, something, the way he said it at the time, it raised me up, and I never forgot it after that point. And so that's the biggest gift he ever gave me.
Gift.
I'll take that over any fucking anything. He gave me that
That's a valuable gift.
The groove and the train and just the confidence.
I remember what I told you. This is how you play the B3.
Yeah, and Carmine, I've had a lot of help along the ways,
Oh my
and
God.
God bless you, Carmine. That's
I
a
think
great
about- I
story.
look at your
You know what's
keyboard.
interesting is I just did 2 records for David Coverdale on for Whitesnake, and so now he's doing all the press runs, and he's like, my name keeps coming up in the interviews. He goes, he sounds like the son of John Lord. That's his
Well,
line
come
and
on.
and all the thing.
Right.
And so it's really funny that
Perfect.
if you look at the beginning, I hadn't even played a B3 until you were around, and now it's just like full fucking
Yeah,
fucking. I
you
love
know
it.
the
It's like
camera.
such a big part of my sound
yeah.
is the B3, and so I'm very grateful for that and having that experience. I just wish I had it the whole time I was playing with Buddy. That would have been great.
We listened to a mix today for Cactus, and it was like a bluesy thing. And I said to Paul Warren, you know Paul Warren, guitar player from LA? He played with Rod for 14 years, and he's with Cactus. And I said, you know, we need a B3 on that track. Just a real playing some pads. He's going in the studio Monday with a keyboard player to do some Mellotron and stuff in Nashville. Now, the next time I'm going to call you.
Oh, please do. I'd be a pleasure. You too, Vinny. If you ever need keys, just send it over.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
totally set up.
Are
here,
you on
man. I got
Cameo?
everything.
Can I contact you?
Yeah, please. You can find the link on my Facebook page.
Only on Cameo, I'll invite you over.
Yeah, great.
So funny you guys are.
Hey,
I'm telling
the,
you.
The new kids today, you know, new fans, maybe people watching, they're probably going, what's a B3? So, airplane
Yeah.
or something?
Yeah.
And it's really amazing. Like I have to say this. I'm going to vent a little bit. I hear a lot of keyboards in rock music, and I think that 99% of the keyboards that I hear sound like shit. It sounds like cheesy plastic
Right.
keyboards. No one's playing real B3. There's a couple guys out that are doing it, but as far as the keyboard sounds, it's a very slippery slope. I've had a tough time being a keyboard player because let's face it, Gene Simmons, his quote that he said to me, here's another gift. So I was doing the Kiss tour, playing off stage. I was triggering the samples and singing background and doubling Paul Stanley. I would play root fifth, whatever his guitar part, because he's running around doing his stage stuff. So I'm covering like.
Wow, everybody thought it was just a 4-piece. See, now you just gave away the secret.
Sorry.
They'll never call you again.
Geez, and so then I remember I had an endorsement at the time from, I forgot, and I go to Gene. I said, Gene, my company wants to do an ad, and I wanted to get your permission. Can I put Kiss in the ad? And he said to me, he goes, Derek, there's two things that rock fans hate: sidemen and keyboard players.
Yeah. Rockman, not prog rockman, but rockman, yes.
And then I'll give you another good humbling story. So I joined Alice Cooper, and I think at the time we're making $1,000 a week. And this is in '89, and this is the most money I've ever made at the time. We're all really excited. And then something happened like midway through the tour, and Jonathan Mover was hired at the last moment, but he was getting paid more than the rest of us. And it leaked out that I thought like we were all getting paid the same. And I said to him, I go, you're getting paid this? He goes, yeah, but don't say anything. So I immediately go to Joe Gannon and Shep Gordon. That's Shep Gordon's guy. Yep. Yeah. And I said, this isn't fair. You know, we're all out here working hard, and, you know, we should all be getting paid the same. And he said to me, he goes, let me tell you something. He goes, you're all a bunch of sandlot ball players wearing Yankee uniforms. You're lucky to be out here. But I'll tell you what, we'll give you a bump 500. But I always, that's the image of like some young guy thinking he's big, like and he's putting the Yankee uniform on, but he's still a fucking schmo.
I always wanted to play with Alice, you know, for years and years. And he never called me, and you know.
You're probably too famous, Carmine.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. He said, you're too famous, you know.
Yeah.
That's what
that could be a curse. Carmine, that must be a curse. That must be very hard to live with.
It is a curse. Especially when, that's what Sharon told me when she fired me.
That's because he's got his on the bass drums.
That's right.
I never put my name on
look, Carmine, you've always been very low key though, and I appreciate that about you.
Yeah, low key.
But, you know, on that, Vinny, how come you don't? I mean, it seems like you're just the other. You don't have it on your bass. How come?
I'm more of a team player. I'm like in the band. But one Drum Wars gig, I put it on my bass drum. But it was a little piece of tape this big. And I mentioned it to the audience when I got the microphone. I said, he's got his name on the bass drum. So do I. And I pointed to it, and they all started cracking up. It's about that big.
That's what I love about Derek. I tell you what, like if on my side of the coin, I'm putting on these shows. I love watching the bands, but I love the music, of course. But I get the opportunity to look from behind the scenes, backstage, and watching these two guys. I told them one of my favorite things with all the great celebrities and big shows that we have. One of my favorite shows is Drum Wars. When these two brothers, we got two drum kits on stage. They go back and forth. I don't know what the percentage is, but I'm gonna say half the show is choreographed. The other half the show is just them banging it against each other, brother to brother.
I bet it's great. I want to see it.
Sort of like this show. And I want to say, Ron, you're doing a great job as a host on this thing, man. By the way, right? When you say Vin.
Yeah, but he needs the background. The curtains are wrong.
It's horrible. And your camera quality is the worst of the four.
It is. Maybe a suit would be good for him, right?
No. You want me to not wear this?
No, I appreciate the gesture with the shirt, but you're right about the drapes.
Where's the Drum War shirt, dude?
You know what? I check my mail every day.
You got a laughing line shirt.
We got to get him a Drum War shirt.
I need a Drum War shirt. Hey, Derek. We just, you know what? It's been so nice talking to you because you're one of those guys. I don't want to call you an unsung hero because, like you said, even with David Coverdale, your name comes up. But you are definitely one of those guys responsible for so much music, so much a part of some great bands. And I, as a promoter, and I get when I bring in Ingwe or whatever it is, and you're there, I know it's going to be an incredible show. We wish
great.
you the best.
Thank you. And thank you for your hospitality over the years. It's always fun playing your place. And,
And
the
the
food's really good, too.
And the
food is
meatballs.
awesome.
And the meatballs.
Meatballs. I love it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, see,
Always
Well,
great.
this has been.
This show is to promote Ron's Meatballs. He's going to start a meatball company.
We are.
Nice.
We are. And I'm going to have 2 meatballs on the front as my logo. One's going to have your head on it with that hat, and the other one's going to have Vinny.
There you go. There you
Well, I
go.
wish you guys all the best.
If I turn the hat this way, I look.
Hey, guys, thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure, and I hope we could play together soon, both you guys.
Yeah.
And Ron, I hope we'll be
Next
playing your
we gotta
place
get. Next we gotta get Bumblefoot on.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah, you
hey,
know
Ron.
what? Let's do that
soon.
next
He'd love
week.
to do it. Just send him
I
an
know.
email. He'll be on. He'll do
Hey,
it.
Ron. Hey,
Yeah,
Ron.
man.
You got to say, well, it looks like we're out of time right now.
Looks like but you joined us like 8 minutes late, so I'm going to bump it another 8 minutes. Just
Oh,
go the next 8
for me?
minutes.
I want to plug. Can I do a shameless plug really
Please.
quick? I have a new solo record coming out. I can't reveal the title until a couple of weeks, but it's with Simon Phillips on drums,
Wow.
co-wrote and co-produced and mixed. My guitar players are Steve Vai, Zach Wild, Joe Bonamassa, Bumblefoot,
Come
Kiko
on.
Lureo from Megadeth, and my bass player is Billy Sheehan, Tony Franklin, Jimmy Johnson from Alan Holdsworth, who's an amazing bass player, and a bass player named Ernest Tibbs, who plays with Simon Phillips in Simon's band.
Jimmy
Portapoise.
Jimmy Johnson played on a Derringer and Appice record in 1983.
No shit, he's amazing. Plays an alembic.
Great.
The tone,
great
that guy, Jimmy Johnson. There's an unsung hero. This guy.
It sounds
is
like it sounds like my Guitar Zeus record.
yeah.
Hey,
When is he
Derek,
gonna
I
release?
think you should get some real players.
Yeah.
I'm trying, man. It's just really hard to find nowadays, though. But
I don't know, Vinny. He didn't call me. Did he call you?
I'll say this. No, Simon. I gotta say this. Simon and I have a history, but I'm very blessed. Also, I recently did for modern drummer David Frangione, good friend at Modern Drummer.
I'm seeing him tomorrow.
Nice. Tell him I said, hey, he's in Florida. That's right. He's in Boca.
I'm going to the museum, the drum museum tomorrow with the kids.
Yeah.
Well,
I
you
did
know
this
what?
recent thing about talking about drummers that I've played with, and Carmine.
Yeah, I
was
saw that.
one of
I
them.
saw that.
Yeah, I've been very blessed to play some serious killer drummers and guitar players, and bass players too.
When I saw it, I said, how is Derek doing this thing on drummers? I didn't know we played all these guys.
You know what, Carmine? You taught me early on that you got to think outside the box, and that was one thing that you stood out from the crowd as a drummer. You weren't just the drummer; you enterprised, and you had your videos out, and you marketed yourself, and
My name on
branding.
my drum, name on the drum.
Yeah, you were branding
the
before
drum.
branding was like a thing.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. And I think as a keyboard player, back to the story of Gene telling me that everyone hates keyboard players, I had to work extra hard in a rock band situation.
Yeah.
First of all, you got to ditch all the cheesy ass sounds and make sure who's the ballsiest sounding keyboard? John Lord. Okay, so B3 is going to be my staple. Who else plays synthesizer ballsy? Jan Hammer. Okay, killer. So that's going to be that. And then piano. You go down the list, Elton John and all the cool people and I throw all those things into my
Max
stew.
Middleton.
Clavinet, and Rhodes. Big part of my sound.
Man.
Huge, Wired and Blow by Blow, all those records. And, we're talking about 5 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. I'm 1 degree from Jimi Hendrix by playing with Buddy Miles. And playing with Carmine Appice, that's like 1 degree from Jeff Beck.
I originally played on Blow by Blow.
Is that right?
I played on Blow by Blow. That song Scatterbrain started from my drum groove. And then we couldn't work out a deal with Jeff and his manager, so they took me off.
That's too bad.
I wish you were on.
I wish if you were on that's a fucking legendary record. It's too bad.
I know. I was so pissed off when it came out. Sold 2 million copies. And I was still friends with Jeff, but I got pissed off at my managers. They said, well, you can't be a sideman to Jeff Beck when you were equal bill with him, which made sense. And they couldn't work out a deal with Epic
Too
Records.
Famous, Carmine. It's a curse sometimes.
It's a curse.
Double-edged sword.
When is that your project dropping?
So that album's coming out on Sony Music Inside Out September, and I'm very excited about it. I post about it all the time on things, so you'll hear it. But September, Derek Sherinian solo record. Very excited.
Good luck.
Thank you,
Good
man.
luck with that whole all-star team. You know what? I just want to say, Derek Sherinian, congratulations on going from the Sandlot to being a Yankee player in a Yankee uniform.
That's so funny. That's a good line, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It sure put it in perspective for you, right?
And Gene, and the one from Gene too is really mocking. It slams you down because you feel you get all this power in your belly because you got a gig, and then you get a fucking smackdown back down to reality. And I think we all need that.
It made you who you are today.
It's
right?
Great. It's all fun stuff. Guys, thank you so much for having me. It's awesome.
Hey, everybody out there, every Friday we're doing this with these guys. Share it, like it, just let everybody know. We want to do this a lot more. We want to share some of these great stories with these legends and icons. Want to thank Derek Sherinian this week for being our special guest, Carmine Appice, Vinny Appice, and I got it right, thank God. Love you guys too. We'll see you guys next.
All right, guys. Have a great day. Be safe, everybody.
Okay,
Take care.
Yeah, bro.
Okay.
Bye.